Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. This is 32nd lecture of our course. In this course, we are going to discuss the criteria of the good measurement. In the previous course, we discussed the measurement scales and we found that the world of measurement and world of scales in research is something very sophisticated. It is not as easy as a common man perceives. Rather, a researcher knows the intricacies of the measurement which is utilized and the scaling which is utilized in the research, which has various kind of problems, which has various kinds of issues, which can be quantified also in usual measures and which cannot be quantified in the usual measures. So, we have to also better discuss what are the criterias of the good measurement, and a good measurement has to come up to these criterion. We shall be discussing these criterias in fact in brief in this lecture. There are three criterias for evaluating measurement. Number one, the reliability. Second, the validity, and third, the sensitivity. These are the three criterias which are utilized for evaluating the measurement, and we shall discuss what do we mean by these criterias so that it becomes clear in our minds which measures are good and they fulfill the criteria of being a good measurement. So, let us discuss the first, that is reliability. What is that? This concept of reliability refers to the ability of an instrument to produce consistent same results. Since a grocer obtains the true measure of commodity by a kilogram, a cloth merchant obtains the true length of cloth by a meter, and a tailor by an inch tape, these measuring instruments have to be reliable. That kilogram, meter and inch tape have to always give the same result when used for measuring a commodity. If suppose these do not give a same result and there are differences, then what does it mean? It means that there is no reliability. That is, the results have to be consistently same. Like we have the experience with the kilogram or the meter or the liter So, in research also, the measure has to be reliable, as we observed in this previously discussed measures of kilogram or liter or meter. So, reliability is a degree to which measures are free from error, so that they give the same results when repeated measurements are made under constant conditions. The conditions are same. So, the measures, if they are the measures are not free from error, they may not give the same result, and that has to be ensured by the researcher that the measure which he is using has reliability. So, reliability is a degree to which measures are free from error, and so that they give the same results when we repeat the measures, of course under the same conditions. For example, nominal level measures are reliable if these clearly distinguish one category from another, male, female, clearly distinguish, rural, urban, clearly distinguish, graduate, non-graduate, clearly distinguish. So, these are clearly distinguished categories. Similarly, ordinal level measures are reliable if they consistently rank the individuals groups in the same manner. That is what I told you, that if A is preferable to B, B is preferable to C, then of course A is preferable to C. If A is preferable to B and B is preferable to C, then A must be preferable to C. It cannot be that C is preferred to A. That is the consistency, that in an ordinal scale or ordinal measure, the ranking of the individuals or group in the same manner, in a consistent manner, where the rules of transitivity are observed. It cannot be that we rank A to B and B to C and then we say we rank C to A. No, it is not that. If A is preferred to B, B is preferred to C, then A must be preferred to C. That is the concept of the ordinal level, and it is reliable if it fulfills this condition, that the rank is consistent with individuals groups in the same manner. Of course, the interval level measures are reliable if they maintain the same distance consistently. What does it mean? That if the difference between 30 degree to 40 degree and the difference between 60 to 70 degree, if in the heat difference the difference is not same, then the interval level measure, that is the measure to the scale to measure the temperature is not good, because the intervals do not have same distance. So, for the interval scale, this is must, that the distance between these 2 points, any 2 points, are the same. This is why, that is the the characteristics of the interval scale. So, what we observed that for all these three nominal level, it has to distinguish one category from another very clearly. In the ordinal level, measures are reliable if they consistently rank the individual's group in the same manner, and interval level measures, the intervals have to be at the same distance consistently. That is, the temperature difference between say 1 to 5, the heat involved is same between 5 to 10. That is the consistency of the interval scale. Whereas, as far as ratio scale is concerned, we know that it is a complete scale. So, now we proceed to our discussion in the criteria of the good measurement. So, reliability we are discussing. In the reliability also, we have a few kind of reliabilities. The first is test-retest reliability. The third is a split half reliability. Second is a split half reliability. The third is interval consistency reliability, and the fourth is equivalent form reliability. These are the four types of reliability which we have to take into consideration while going for studying the reliability criteria of the measurement. So, we first discuss the test-retest reliability. The test-retest reliability means administering the same scale or measure to the same respondents at two separate times to test for stability. We have to administer the same scale or measure to the same respondent at two separate times, and this would give the stability of the test. If the measure is stable over time, the reported test administered under conditions similar to the first test should obtain similar results. For instance, in the above mentioned in the example of doctor's commitment in a given hospital, say in the first test 75% of the doctors are found committed and 25% non-committed. Then in the ratio terms, the ratio of committed to non-committed doctors is 3:1. With the same question asked from the same doctors, say after 3 months, if the number of committed doctors is found only 60%, the researcher should know that his measure is not reliable. That is the test-retest reliability. That is, we have to check the reliability of the test of the same respondent at two separate times. So, we went to a hospital and interviewed the doctor, the respondent, and this time he has responded that 75% are committed while 25% are not committed. Whereas after 3 months he gives a different percentage, then it means that our this scale or measure does not fit into the test-retest reliability. or say any kind of say testing where we go, suppose we are taking the response of a students to the satisfaction level of teaching. Then suppose today we asked a student and he says, I am satisfied, but tomorrow he says I am very satisfied, then our reliability is compromised. In the two separate times, two separate periods, the scale was administered, however, the results were not stable. But if the same respondent or a student who said, I am dissatisfied with the teaching in the department, and tomorrow he again said, I am dissatisfied with the teaching in the department, then it means that our scale of measure has passed the test, retest reliability. So, I hope this retest reliability is clear in our minds. Then the next is internal consistency reliability. What does it mean? This involves asking similar questions or presenting comparable scale items to test for consistency in responses. It is not the same question, but the questions are similar, and if there is difference in the responses, then it means there is no internal consistency. But if there is same or consistency in response, so in the similar question, then we can always say that the measure fulfills the internal consistency reliability criteria. So, if we say or ask a student whether you are, how much you are satisfied or dissatisfied with the teaching in the class, and we put another question, how much you are happy with the teaching in the class. So, this would check his response here would check the internal consistency reliability. And suppose we ask the same questions of say comparison between the two brands of milk. We ask him, do you prefer Amul to say DMS or Mother Dairy? He said, I prefer Amul to Mother Dairy. Again, if you ask him which is your favorite, whether Amul or Mother Dairy, he should have the same kind of answer or response for the internal consistency reliability, because he cannot prefer one brand to another and he cannot be in favor of another brand to this brand, that contradicts. If suppose somebody says, I prefer Amul to the mother dairy, then we ask him, which is your more favorite brand? Then of course he should say, my most favorite brand is Amul, and this is why he gave Amul is preferred to the mother dairy. So here we find that the condition of internal consistency reliability is fulfilled. Then the third is the split half reliability. What is that? This method divides responses to the items of an instrument in two parts and assesses the correlation between them. The correlation degree reflects the instrument's reliability. The test may be divided into thirds, quarters, etc., provided the items are comparable. The correlation is adjusted to represent the reliability of the entire test. So here the correlation between the two parts of the instrument is checked. The correlation degree reflects the instrument's reliability. So take the example of, say, friendship and cooperation in studies. Here we have correlation between friendship and cooperation in studies. This reflects the instrument reliability. So this response is divided into two parts and assesses the correlation between them. If there is correlation, positive correlation between the two, then it means that the measure or the scale fulfills the split half reliability. If the person is saying that, okay, we have friendship and we have cooperation in the studies. So that way the correlation degree reflects the instrument's reliability, and the test is divided into thirds or quarters, and then the correlation is compared. And so this correlation is studied to test the reliability of the test. That is the split half reliability. Then the fourth condition is the equivalent form reliability. This method is employed when two alternative measurement instruments are designed to be as equivalent as possible. Each instrument is administered to the same group of subjects. High correlation between the two forms suggests that the scale is reliable. We wanted to study the, say, the satisfaction level of students from teaching, or the, say, causes of decline in the market share of, say, one brand, that is Amul. If we want to study this, suppose we have given two alternative measurement instruments, that is two kind of questionnaires, suppose. So each of these questionnaire, each of these instrument is administered to the same group of people, to the same group of students, to the same group of consumers, and if there is high correlation in responses to the between the two forms of this measurement, then it is suggested that the scale is reliable. So, we have discussed the four types of scales of the four types of reliability index, one can say, or reliability criteria, one can say, for the good measurement of a for the good measurement. Now comes the second criteria, that is validity. The validity means the stability to produce findings that are in agreement with conceptual or theoretical values. For example, an attitude measurement technique may indicate that 80% people are in favor of using family planning measures, but 80% people may not actually use these methods. A reliable but invalid instrument will yield consistently inaccurate results. So, validity refers to the success of the scale in measuring what it is meant to be measured. So, there is very thin difference between it, and the researchers must be very particular to in this context, that if they are not very particular or if they are not very careful, then they may distort these, that the success of the scale to be valid is in the measuring of what is meant to be measured. There are a variety of ways to assess the validity of the test of the measurement. These are the face validity, content validity, criterion validity, and the construct validity. So, we shall be discussing these in brief separately. Suppose face validity is measuring what is expected to measure. For example, a questionnaire is aimed at studying caste discrimination, say between higher castes and Dalit castes. So, it has to face the validity if its questions refer to discrimination due to caste. We have to frame the questions where the discrimination is captured. If we do not frame the question where the discrimination is not captured, is mean that the face validity is not fulfilled. So, the questions must ask whether one can say sit together, eat together, or any kind of these questions which differentiates the similarity or the discrimination that has to be put in. Similarly, the case in measuring the religious discriminations, that is appointing persons of one religion and rejecting the persons of another religion, we have to put in questions which fulfill the discrimination, which rather captures the discrimination between the two or three or many religious communities. Similarly, the standard of judgment are held to be based on empirical evidence, not on the subjective judgment of the researcher. If the researcher goes for its subjective judgment, then the whole study is spoiled. There, the researcher has to depend on objective judgments based on empirical evidences that he is able to collect. So, that is the face validity. Then comes the content validity. It refers to the subjective agreements among professionals where the content of a scale appears to be adequate. That is, it logically appears to accurately reflect what it intends to measure. Since the content appears to experts that it provides adequate coverage of items, it has the validity, the content validity. For instance, if we have to measure the alienation and normlessness and powerlessness, these are two important elements of alienation, and if these have not been included, the researcher cannot claim content validity for this instrument. We have to be very particular about it, that whatever phenomenon we are measuring, the important elements of that phenomenon has to be included in the measurement, then only the content validity criteria is fulfilled. So, as in the case of alienation, if we do not measure the important elements of normlessness and powerlessness, then the study of alienation, our measure would not be good and it would not be fulfilling the content validity criteria. The next is the criterion. The criterion validity refers to correlating the measure with other measures of the same construct, e.g., for example, comparing measures of absenteeism in terms of total days of absent with some other measure of absenteeism, like the number of days for which salary is received in a month. So, the criterion validity is classified as concurrent validity, predictive validity, depending on the time sequence of associating the new measurement scale and the criterion measure. Then comes the construct validity. It is established by the degree to which the measure confirms the hypothesis generated from a theory based on the concepts. In the construct validity, the empirical evidence is consistent with the theoretical logic about the concepts. For example, if a religious discrimination is the research topic, we will construct an instrument to study this topic. For example, then two student groups known to differ in their views, say ABVP and NSUI, on basic issues related to the research questions are identified where they differ. That is the construct validity. So, suppose these indicators of social adjustment are no financial or social liability, no economic dependence, no social isolation or being neglected by children, neighbors, friends, no frustration of not being respected, consulted in decision making, etc., no conflicts with son, brother, etc., no conservative values, The indicators of the emotional adjustments are tolerance, patience, low sensitivity, non-suspicious nature, non-complainant type and non-sociability. So, these are the constructs for these phenomenon, and if we have included these in our measure, then we can say that the criteria of the construct validity is fulfilled. Now, we come to the third major part of this good measurement, that is the sensitivity. Sensitivity refers to an instrument's ability to measure variability in responses accurately. A dichotomous response category such as agree or disagree does not reflect the attitude changes. A more sensitive measure with numerous items on the scale, sensitivity may be enhanced. So, it means that we have to be broad in giving the sensitive measures on the scale which should be numerous, not the categorical like agree or disagree. So, that would capture, so that it captures the sensitivity. For example, a 5-point scale, strongly agree, neither agree, don't disagree, disagree and strongly disagree, increases a scale sensitivity by assigning 0 to third type of answer, that is neither agree or disagree, and +2 to strongly disagree, agree, +1 to agree, -1 to disagree, and -2 to strongly disagree. We can calculate the plus and minus marks achieved and thus measure the attitude. So, we take another example, that if we make a 3-point scale only, agree, indifferent, that is neither agree nor disagree, and disagree. So, this 3-point scale also do give us the do give us the sensitivity, whereas the 5-point scale also gives us the sensitivity, because these also, the first 3-point scale where we have given agree, indifferent and disagree, that also captures the sensitivity, but a 5-point scale is more sensitive, because it gives more option to them, strongly agree, indifferent, that is neither agree or disagree, and disagree and strongly disagree. With this 5-point scale, we will find that this 5-point scale is able to capture more sensitivity of the respondent. Suppose we increase it to furthermore, to 7-point scale. So, in 7-point scale, we can say that very strongly agree, agree, indifferent, that is neither agree or not disagree, disagree, strongly disagree, very strongly disagree. Now, we have increased this 5-point scale to the 7-point scale, capturing more sensitivity, capturing more, giving him more options of giving his responses. So, what we find, that the 7-point scale has given us more options of sensitivity than the 5-point scale, and 5-point scale has been more sensitive than the 3-point scale. However, it depends upon the researcher and his problem which he is studying, that which kind of a scale is more sensitive to measure the variability in responses accurately, because as we saw that one 3-point scale also was measuring variability, 5-point also scale also was measuring variability in responses, and 7-point scale was also measuring the variability in the responses. But we observed that the 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 degree of sensitivity that is captured in 7-point scale is lesser in the degree of sensitivity that is captured in 5-point scale, and even this the degree of sensitivity captured in 3-point scale is further lesser to the sensitivity that is captured in the 5-point scale. So what we find that 7-point scale is able to is able to capture more sensitive regarding the variability in responses than the 5-point scale, and 5-point scale more sensitive in capturing the variability in responses, and the 5-point scale rather more sensitive than the 3-point scale in capturing the variability in the response scale. So this is to be the researcher has to see that the instrument is able to capture maximum his measure is able to capture the maximum variability in responses accurately. And finally, this is with the researcher with his command on the subject that he is researching, that he has to decide which instrument or which measure captures maximum variability in responses. That is, this is the sensitivity criteria. So with this we have discussed all the criterias that is related with the good measurement. So a measurement cannot be 100% fulfilling the criteria, but if it is able to fulfill broadly these criterias, then we can say that it is a good measurement, and we can go with this for our, or the researcher can proceed in his or her endeavor to study or research the problem at his or her hand. With this, I stop here, and I wish I have been able to make it clear to you the criterias of the good measurement. Thank you very much.